When you unlock Sorcery and increase your level in it, you will also unlock a lot of spells, and a lot of them are very useful. So in this guide for the Conan Exiles Age of Sorcery update, we will look at all of those spells one by one in details and learn their requirements and how to use them. Before we get started, if you don't know how to unlock Sorcery and increase your levels in it, I made a previous guide that explains that in details. I will leave the link for it in the description below. The first spells we will look at are the two spells we unlock by default when we unlock Sorcery, and they are Ice Bridge and Reveal Corruption. To cast any spell, equip your staff and left click, and then you will see a bunch of stones appear. As of right now, we only have 2, but as we progress, we will have more. And then hover on each stone to read the description, and when you left click on one of them, it will select it, and you will be able to cast even more spells from it. The first spell we will see will be Reveal Corruption. We will choose the stone on the left, and then we only have one more spell here, and this will be Reveal Corruption. You will see this red effect around you, and in PvE, it basically have almost no effect. We are standing right in front of an obelisk, which is one of the sources for corruption, but you will not really notice anything different. The same goes for other corrupted players around you, for example. However, this spell may be useful in PvP. If you want to remove that effect, you can either unequip your staff or just select any other weapon. You can cancel any spell at any time by doing right click instead of left click. The next spell we will see is building an ice bridge that will help us go from one place to the next. We will select this right stone this time, and then again only one spell here, and you will see below the description a pouch icon. This means when you cast this spell, you will consume one of those pouches, and you get 5 of them by default when you learn Sorcery, and you can also craft them directly yourself, and I explained that in the previous Sorcery guide, which I will leave the link for in the description. So I will use it to build an ice bridge now that will enable us to go to that next cliff. Keep in mind that the ice bridge will disappear after a few seconds, so make sure to use it quickly. And also, every time you cast a spell, you will gain corruption. But that corruption is not permanent and you can remove it anytime you want. We will now upgrade our Tome of Kurak to the next level, which will give us more spells. Anytime you will upgrade your sorcery level and unlock more spells, you will need the same 2 components. You will need the Tome from before, so always leave it in that bench and make sure you don't lose it. And you will need a sorcerer spell page. And we explained this in details in the sorcery guide which we made earlier. The link for it will be in the description. But keep in mind that if you have a sorcerer in the sorcery bench, it will enable you to craft those pages. The other 2 components will be the only thing different based on the level you are going for. So for the next level, we will need 1 putrid meat and 1 stone. And when we have all the components ready, we can click craft. And every time it will do that, it will do this animation on the bench. And you will see a list of the spells you unlocked on the right side. You can also see all the new spells when you go to the Sorcery tab here. The first new spell we unlocked is called Blood Rite. This gives us access to the Sacrificial Stone and Sacrificial Blood in a Flask. It also gives us access to Soul Drain and 2 new spells, one called Embed Wisp and the other called Imbue Wisp. To craft the Sacrificial Stone, equip your Construction Hammer and then go to the building menu by pressing F by default and then go to Crafting Stations, Sorcery, and you will see it here. It will require 600 stones, 100 iron bars and 1 torch. And when you have enough, just click on it in the menu here and it will spawn it in the world and you can drop it wherever you want. Anytime you won't use the stone, you must have any kind of unconscious thrall. The type of the thrall or the level does not matter, but it cannot be dead. And then drag it to the Sacrificial Stone, and when you interact with it, it will drop the thrall there. And now we can perform one of 2 rituals. Either perform the Blood Rite, which will enable us to craft the Sacrificial Blood in a Flask, and from here we will get something called Soul Essence, which is very useful for later. We will see the Blood Rite ritual first. For this, you just need to have a thrall on the station and then click craft. And when you are done, you now have a sacrificial blood. And then you can use it to craft a sacrificial blood in a flask, only if you have a glass flask in the station. To perform the second ritual, Soul Drain, you must already have a glass flask in the station and a thrall on it. And then again click craft. This spell will give you a lot more corruption than all the others. And this can be bad or useful based on what you are trying to do. Just remember that this corruption is not permanent and you can remove it anytime you want. When we are done, this will give us 5 soul essence. The other 2 spells we unlocked are Embed Wisp and Imbue Wisp. Those 2 spells are very useful for darkness. So we equip our staff and we summon our stones, and now you will notice you have a third stone. So we will choose this one in the middle, and now we can cast one of 2 spells. The first one will summon a wisp around us that will light the way. This is the first one. As you can see, we have something running around us that is helping us see in the darkness, and it will keep moving with you. The other one is a little bit more useful. So when we go to the middle stone again, and this time we select the one on the right, wherever you are pointing with your camera, it will summon a wisp that will light this whole area. And as you can see, this is a little bit more clear. You can also have both of them at the same time. You can have one wisp lighting a specific location and another wisp running around your character. To upgrade to the next level, you need the Tome and the Sorcerer page as usual, and you will need 1 feral flesh and 5 feathers. And this unlocks a new spell called Slow Fall. To cast this new spell, we will choose the Rite stone, and then again the second one here. And you can always read the description to confirm it is the spell you want to cast. You will notice you have something like wind around your character now, and as you can see, I'm in a very high place, and if I jump down, this will just help me fall slowly to the ground without taking falling damage. For the next level, we need the Tome and the Sorcerer page with 1 savory flesh and 10 glowing goop. And this will give us the ability to craft 2 new mounts, a horse and a rhino. And this will also give you access to a circle of power, which we can use to craft those 2 new mounts. To craft the circle of power, equip your construction hammer again, and then go to the building menu, and then crafting stations, sorcery, and you will see it here. This will cost 100 bricks, 200 bone meal, and 50 steel bars. And when we interact with the circle of power, we can see our 2 new mounts. Both of them will need 1 sacrificial blood in a flask and 10 demon blood. The only difference is the third component. For the horse, you will need 10 bones, and for the rhino, you will need 5 horns. When we have all our ingredients, we will do craft, and this will summon our demon horse. You can use it just like a normal mount horse, and it will perform exactly the same way. It will not fight with you, and it will always try to run away. For the rhino, we need pretty much the same materials with the exception of horns instead of bones. And then we do craft, and this will summon a rhino we can use as a mount. Keep in mind that after some time, those mounts will become hostile and they will start attacking you and the thralls. So they are not mounts you can keep forever. For the next level, you will need the Tome and the Sorcerer page with 1 human flesh and volatile gland. And this will teach you the spell Wall of Fire. Before we can cast our next spell, we will need to have at least 20% corruption. There are plenty of ways to get corruption, like being beside an obelisk, for example, or inside areas that apply corruption. But in my opinion, the easiest way to gain corruption is to use any gear that apply corruption. Like for example, the Black Heart weapons which we get from the War Maker dungeon. We will also get some more gear from sorcery that will apply corruption, and we will see that as we progress through the spells. When you equip the sword and just wait few seconds, it will apply 50% corruption. Also performing is a soul drain ritual from the sacrificial stone will apply a lot of corruption quickly. To cast the spell itself, we will use this third stone, which is one for nature. And this is our new spell, the one that says escalate, and you can see below it, it says 20% corruption. This means you need to have at least 20% corruption to use that spell. And then we cast the spell, and this will summon the flame wall. You cannot cross this wall, and as you will notice, you will get constant damage if you try to get anywhere close to it. The same will apply to any enemies. For the next level, we will need the Tome and the Sorcerer page as usual, and 5 blood with 20 brimstone. And we learned a new spell, Creeping Darkness. For this spell, we will also need to have at least 20% corruption. We will again go to the Nature Stone, and then we will choose Escalate again. And you can see our new spell here, it is this stone. The best way to see how this spell works is to use it around enemies. you will notice immediately that things got really dark and that the NPCs are also starting to get afraid. So this can help you a little in combat when you are trying to fight multiple mobs at the same time. And don't forget that you can remove the corruption from those sorcery spells anytime you want. From now on, I will stop mentioning the tome and the spell to upgrade to the next level because we will always need them. So for this next level, we will need 10 blood and 15 alchemical base. This will teach us 2 new spells, and remember that anytime you learn any new spell, you will always find it in the Sorcery tab. So we learned a Mass Cull and Detect Resources. Mass Cull will harvest all the resources around you in an area. That will include iron, stones, wood, plants, all that kind of stuff. And this will also give you some XP at the end of the spell based on what you gathered. To cast the spell, we will go to the Nature Stone again, and then we will go for Escalate, and this requires at least 20% corruption. And you can find is a new spell here. It is this rock on the left. As you noticed, it harvested everything around us in a radius. And if I open my inventory now, you can see a bunch of resources. And also if you pay attention up top, you will notice that this gives us some XP. And of course, the more materials you gathered at the end of the spell, and the higher their rarity, the more XP you will get. To cast the other spell, which is Detect Resources, we will go to the Future Stone. Remember that you can always hover on the spells to read the description for them and make it more clear. So this spell is the one that will reveal resources around us. And as you can see, this will also consume 1 pouch, so make sure you will have enough. When we cast this spell, it will apply this effect around us, and you can immediately start seeing some of the minerals starting lighting up in green. This will not detect everything. This will only detect what counts as a little bit of rare materials. Like for example, you can see a bunch of stone around us that is not highlighted, and some plants also around us that are not highlighted. However, all the iron around us counts as a little bit of rare materials, and so it is highlighted in green. This effect will stay with you as you move, so you can keep using this spell and keep revealing resources as you move. And you can see the timer for the spell on the left side, and as we are moving you can see more resources are starting to get highlighted. To upgrade to the next level, we will need 15 blood and 1 wizard skull, and this will give us a new spell, Summon Corpse. To use the next spell, you will need the Circle of Power, which we crafted earlier. What this spell will do is it will summon your corpse if you have recently died. So to show you now, I remove Bracelet to kill myself, and we spawned naked and lost all our equipment. So I will use this spell now, and this will summon my corpse back to me. And now I can take everything that I had on it before, and I will not lose my equipment. So this can be extremely helpful for servers that drop equipment on this. Keep in mind is that when you cast this spell, you will have this effect called Tainted, and this will prevent some of the corruption to be removed. For the next level, we will need 20 blood and 20 wizard skull, and this will give us 2 spells, Cull of the Dead and Raise Dead. Cull of the Dead is what will summon the zombie army, and before you can cast it, you will need to have at least 40% corruption. We will go to the Undus Stone, and then at the end, you can see Escalate 20% corruption. And then Escalate again, and it needs you to be 40% corruption this time. And now you can cast that spell. This will apply a thick fog around you, and it will summon a lot of zombies that will come out from the ground, as you can see. The zombies are not going to be controlled, and they will attack whatever NPCs nearby. They're also not very strong and they can die quickly. The other skill we unlocked, Raise Dead, will give us access to a new station called Shallow Grave. To craft it, you will find it in the crafting stations and then Sorcery, and this will require 300 stone and 50 compost. For that spell, you will need to knock out any fighting thrall, like a fighter or an archer. The higher their level, the better, and then drag them to the grave, and now you can cast the spell. This will summon the same thrall from earlier, but as an undead, and he will spawn immediately following you. They spawn as level 20 and they already have their perks, but at the same time you can't give them any armor and they will not use any weapons. And also feeding them is a little harder than the normal thralls. In terms of combat, I will show you now how it will fight against another tier 3 thrall. Also keep in mind that they will not last forever and they will only stay for a period of time and then they will die. However, that period is not that bad at all and it should be few days at least. To upgrade to the next level, we will need 10 Demon Blood and 10 Grey Lotus Powder. And this will teach us 3 new spells: Invisibility Self, and Mirror Mark, and Conceal Corruption. If you look at my character now, because we have a lot of corruption, it looks a little different. So the Conceal Corruption spell is going to remove that effect and will make us look like before. You will find all 3 new spells in this new stone, which is called Unreal. And then the Conceal Corruption spell is the first one here. And as you can see, my character looks exactly like it was before. The other 2 spells will also be in the Unreal Stone, but this time we will choose the second one, and this requires Escalate 20% Corruption. And here are the 2 spells. The first one will create a mirror of ourselves, and this can be used as a decoy. And the second spell is going to make us invisible. You can have both spells working at the same time, and they can be a very powerful combo. You should also know that this invisible effect will stay with you for a very decent time. It is not short at all. However, once you equip a weapon and try to use it, this will reveal you immediately. You will also get revealed when you interact with certain objects, like for example, the tomes and recipes that are laying on the ground. But you can interact with chests without getting revealed. To upgrade to the next level, we will need 15 Demon Blood and 5 Soul Essence. And this will teach us the Elixir of Rebirth. You can craft that elixir at any alchemist bench, even a normal one. And this will require 1 water-filled glass flask, 1 Soul Essence, 3 alchemical base, and 10 Demon Blood. This elixir can only be used by thralls, they cannot be used by you. Also, it will only have an effect if they have a perk, which they get if they are at least level 10. The perk on this thrall right now is Perseverance, and when we consume, it now changed to a different perk. And if you have a maxed out thrall with all 3 perks, when it consumes the elixir, it will randomly change all 3 of them. And you can see they all changed and they are now different. For the next level, we need 20 Demon Blood and 5 Sacrificial Blood. And this will teach us Cull of Nergal and Abyssal Cull. To craft this new Abyssal Cull, you need 1 Sacrificial Blood, 10 Demon Blood, and 5 Human Flesh. This will summon a demon creature that will follow you. And this is a demon fighting another tier 3 thrall, and they will level up like any other thrall. But keep in mind is that you will lose control of any demon creatures, including this one, after some time. Also keep in mind that there seems to be at least 2 variants of this demon thrall. The next spell we will look at is Cull of Nergal, and for that we will need to select the Demon Stone, and then escalate 20%. And this will be the only spell here. This will summon a demon bat that will allow you to fly. You will notice every time we press space, you will climb higher, and the stamina bar of the bat is going down. When it reaches 0, the bat will disappear and he will drop you, so be careful where you are at the time. This is very good for navigation, especially from one point to the next that is relatively close. But keep in mind that once you come anywhere close to the ground or to another cliff, the bat will drop you down. So learning how to manage it at the beginning can be a little bit tricky. To upgrade to the next level, we need 30 Demon Blood and 20 Dragon Horn. And this will teach us 2 new weapons, the Abyssal Bow and Abyssal Hammer. Both of them can be summoned from the Circle of Power. Both of them will require 1 Sacrificial Blood and 10 Demon Blood, but the bow will require 10 Shaped Wood and the hammer will require 10 Hardened Steel Bar. This spell will summon a demon that will be carrying their weapon, and when you interact with them, you will take this weapon. When you equip those weapons, this will increase your corruption. So this can be another way to increase your corruption for some of the spells we mentioned. And this bow comes with its own arrows. They will not use the vanilla arrows. Keep in mind mind, the corruption from this gear cannot be removed and it will just get reapplied again. However, if you unequip and then try to remove the corruption, it will work just fine. I will show you the difference now between the damage from this bow and a normal hardened steel bow with hardened steel arrow. Everything we just explained about the bow will apply exactly to the hammer. To upgrade to the next level, you need 20 black blood and 10 dragon powder. You get black blood when you kill the bosses inside the Midnight Grove dungeon, and you must use a pick on them to get the blood. This will give us abyssal armor. We craft the armor from the circle of power, just like the bow and the hammer. This will require 1 sacrificial blood, 10 demon blood, and 1 heavy padding. This will give you a full set of heavy armor, and it will have the same stats as the epic heavy armor. However, the bonus from it is of course different. Each one of those pieces will increase the damage you do with the strength and agility weapons by 10%, and on top of that, each one of them will give you a different extra bonus. Even if you equip just one piece, it will increase your corruption. Keep in mind, the abyssal weapons and the abyssal armor both will be only available for a certain time, and afterwards they will expire and disappear. To upgrade to the next level, you need 30 black blood and 5 fragment of power, and this will teach you the spell Lightning Storm. To cast this spell, we'll go to the Nature Stone and then escalate 20% and escalate again 40%. And this is our new spell. This will summon a lightning storm that will keep hitting random spots with some lightning. And if there are enemies around, there will be a chance they will get hit by the storm. So I will cast it now and then fly away and show you how many people will get hit by it. And to upgrade to the next level, you need 50 black blood and 100 witchfire powder. And this will teach you the teleporting pad. You can find it in the crafting station, Sorcery. It will cost 200 bricks, 100 silver bars, 100 alchemical base, and 3 torches. To enable this teleportation pad, you need 50 brimstone and 3 sacrificial blood. And then you go to ignite and then craft. This will open a portal to this specific teleportation pad, but one on its own will not do anything. Currently we are here with our teleportation pad, and I just built another one all the way up here north, so there is a pretty big distance between both of them. And I will ignite this teleportation pad now, and this opened a portal and made this teleportation pad also usable. Now because we have at least 2, you will notice some stones flying. When you hover on them, it will tell you exactly where it will take you, and this will be a place for another teleportation pad. So when I interacted with the stone, this now took me to the next pad. Keep in mind that every time you teleport, you get some corruption. And you also have a debuff that prevents you from teleporting again for a few seconds. And as long as you have this tainted effect, you cannot remove the corruption you get from teleporting yet. And that was the last spell. We have no other upgrades, so we have no other spells. Now that we learned all the spells, let's do a quick recap to learn how to cast any of the spells we want. The first stone on the left is the Time Stone. And here we only have 2 spells. The first one is Reveal Corruption, which is mostly useful for PvP. The second one is Reveal Resources, which is very useful overall. The second stone is the Undis Stone. And the first 2 spells here are the Wisp spells, which help us see in the dark. And the third one is Escalate 20% Corruption. And here we have no other option but to go again up to 40%. And the only spell here is to summon the zombie army. The third stone is the Demon Stone. And for this one, you must have at least 20% corruption, and the only spell here is the Bat Demon spell, the one that enables us to fly. The fourth stone is the Unreal or Illusion Stone, and the first spell here is the Conceal Corruption spell, and then if you want more, you need 20% corruption. And here we have the 2 other spells for illusion. The first one is to summon a mirror of yourself, and the second one is to go invisible. And the last stone is the nature stone. The first 2 spells here are the Ice Bridge and the Slow Fall, and then we will go 20% corruption, and this will open more options for us. The first one is to harvest all resources in around you, and then Channel Darkness, which will make the NPCs fear, and then the third one, this will summon the Firewall, and then we can go up to 40% corruption again, and this will enable us to cast the Lightning Storm. From the Alchemist bench, we can craft all the pouches and the Elixir of Rebirth. The Sacrificial Stone is only needed if you need Sacrificial Blood or you need Soul Essence. From the Circle of Power, we can summon our Demon Thrall or our Demon Mounts, and remember that they will turn into enemies after a certain time. And then we can also summon the Abyssal Bow and Hammer and the Abyssal Armor, and you can also summon your corpse if you died. And the Shallow Grave is only needed if you plan to use an Undead Thrall, and remember that they spawn as level 20. And the last thing are those transportation stones, which will only work if you have them set as Ignite. Let us know in the comments below which are your favorite spells and which ones you found the most useful. This information can always be helpful for our viewers. If you want to see my other guides on the Conan Exiles Age of Sorcery update, click on the playlist on your screen now. So, I will see you in the next guide.